Good evening, all of you. Soil health card. Soil health card scheme. We have discussed that the farmers are semi-literate, so the farmers do not know what should be the correct usage of fertilizers. The general mindset is more amount of fertilizer would lead to better production. So the farmers, they tend to overuse fertilizers. Now, to tell the farmers what is best for the soil, the government has come up with this soil health card scheme. Government has set up mobile soil testing labs. Mobile soil testing labs have been set up, and the soil samples are picked from the farmer's field. At regular intervals, the soil samples are taken, and those soil samples are then analyzed in those mobile soil testing labs. The soil samples would be taken, and then the soil samples would be analyzed in that lab, and analysis would be done on 13 parameters. Like what is the pH value of the soil, or what is the organic carbon in the soil, or what is, let's say, electrical conductivity of the soil, or nitrogen content in the soil, phosphorus content in the soil. So based on 13 parameters like this, the soil sample is analyzed. Soil sample is taken from the farmer's field. It is then sent to a lab, and in the lab it is analyzed on 13 parameters. Based on this analysis, a report is given to the farmer. That report is known as the soil health card. Based on the analysis on 13 parameters, a card is given to the farmer, that is soil health card. Now this soil health card, and if you've seen that soil health card, it would have some pages. One is, it has information about the soil health card number and the validity. Soil health card number and the validity. This is one page. What is the number of soil health card, and it is valid from this date to this date. Because with the cultivation of crops, with the usage of water, with the usage of fertilizers, the constituents or the properties of soil, they would also see a change. Then we have a page that mentions about the details of the farmer and his field. That is name of the farmer, Aadhaar number of the farmer. It would mention about the location of the farmer's field. That is both geographical location, latitude, longitude, as well as the district, the village, the state where the field is located. It would mention about the khasra number as well. Khasra number, that is land title number. Every land has a unique title number, and that land title number is known as khasra number. Okay? Other than this, what is the size of the land? So these kind of details are mentioned in one page. Then there is a page which would tell you how the soil fares in those 13 parameters. What is the pH value? What is the organic carbon? What is electrical conductivity, nitrogen, and similarly other parameters as well. How does the soil fare in those parameters? All of this information is provided in the regional language. If I'm in UP, then I would be given information in, let's say, Hindi. If I'm in Andhra Pradesh, I would be given the information in Telugu. So in regional language, the card is printed. But if I'm a farmer and I'm saying that the farmer is semi-literate, how will the farmer understand if I write here the pH value is 6? If I say that you have more concentration of H plus ions in your soil, less concentration of OH minus ions in the soil, the farmer is not going to understand anything. So you have to explain farmer in a simple way. Then there is a page that is recommendation card. The page is recommendation card, which says that if you are cultivating paddy, then use, let's say, X, Y, and Z fertilizer, and you use 45 kgs per hectare. Suppose, कुछ भी ऐसे. If you are cultivating, let's say, sugarcane, then use this Y fertilizer and use 50 kgs per hectare. The simple recommendation is given to the farmer in this case. So first, a sample is taken from the field, analyzed in the lab on 13 parameters. Then based on that report, a card is prepared, which would have all the details of the farmers, including the land size, the land number, as well as the Aadhaar number. And along with the report, also it has a recommendation page that what should be the fertilizer farmer has to use. And in the country, as of now, more than 25 crore farmers have been given the soil health card. In phase 1 and in phase 2, we have almost 25 crore farmers, more than 25 crore who have been given the soil health card. The assumption is that if the farmer knows what is best for his soil, if the farmer knows what is best for his soil, in that case, the farmer is not going to overuse the fertilizer. This is the assumption. Neem coating of urea program. You must have read about what is this neem coated urea. Now, the government says that any urea which is used in agriculture, be it domestically produced or even if it is imported, that has to be coated with neem oil. Neem coated urea means the urea which is coated with neem oil. The idea is that if you have 1 ton of urea, spray 600 grams of neem oil. Spray 600 grams of neem oil to it. And this urea would be known as the neem coated urea. So minimum 600 gram of neem oil on every ton of urea if it is sprayed, it makes urea neem coated urea. Now what are the benefits of neem coated urea? Now one of the minor benefit is that neem is an excellent biopesticide. Like farmers are using pesticide with generally chemicals, but neem is a pesticide and it is a biopesticide. So if the neem coated urea is used, then there are chances, though minor chances, that there might be certain pests that would be driven away from the field. Take a minor benefit. Then if you have coated urea with neem oil, urea becomes unfit for certain activities like preparation of artificial milk. You cannot prepare artificial milk with this neem coated urea. Third and the most important benefit for which this neem coated urea was designed is that it prevents the wastage of urea. Indian Nitrogen Group, it says, of the total urea that we have used since independence, we have wasted 67% of the urea. Only 33% of the urea has been utilized till date. How are we wasting the urea? What leads to the wastage of urea? Listen carefully. When you add urea to the soil, I told you that whenever the farmer applies fertilizer, he would also add water. When the farmer adds urea to the soil, urea is not used as it is by the plants. Urea undergoes 2 processes. One is hydrolysis and second is nitrification. So the urea is hydrolyzed and the urea is nitrified. What happens is when you add urea to the soil, ultimately after hydrolysis and nitrification, it gets converted into soluble nitrates. When you add urea to the soil, it undergoes two processes. One is hydrolysis and second is nitrification. So urea is hydrolyzed and urea is nitrified. Then urea gets converted into soluble nitrates. And these nitrates, when they would dissolve in water, then this nitrate along with the water is taken up by the plants. So plants require nitrogen in the form of soluble nitrates, which enters the plants along with the water. Up till this point, I guess it is clear to everyone. Then the problem is that the rate at which urea gets converted to nitrates, it is much faster than the rate at which nitrates are taken up by the plants. The rate at which urea gets converted to nitrates, it is faster than the rate at which nitrates are being taken up by the plants. Suppose a hypothetical example. Suppose I add 10 kg of urea to the soil, and within 1 hour, let's say within 1 hour, this 10 kg of urea gets converted to 10 kg of nitrates. Suppose, hypothetically, I add 10 kg of urea to the soil, and within 1 hour, this 10 kg is getting converted to 10 kg of nitrates. But the rate at which plants they would absorb nitrate is very slow. Suppose in 1 hour, the plants utilize only 2 kg of nitrates. Can I say 8 kg of nitrate would be there in the soil as it is? When it is there in the soil, it is soluble in nature. When you provide water to the field, this nitrate, which is 8 kg, will it dissolve in water? Yes. And where will this water go? It would go down in the direction of gravity and will continue to move till the time it reaches the groundwater table. Problem kya hai? First, we are losing this nitrate, which otherwise is meant for the plants. Second, this nitrate, it would go to the groundwater and it would also contaminate the groundwater, leading to the problems like blue baby syndrome. Now, what will neem oil do here? If you want to reduce the wastage of urea or wastage of nitrate, if you want to prevent the groundwater contamination, you have to slow down this process of nitrification of urea, of hydrolysis of urea. You'll have to slow down these processes. But the chemical inhibitors that can inhibit or that can slow down this process, they are very costly. It has been found that neem is an excellent inhibitor here. It slows down this reaction. So when you add neem oil to urea, this reaction is slowed down. As a result, what happens is the urea will get converted to nitrates very slowly at the rate at which the plants they are able to absorb the nitrates. And we will prevent the wastage of urea and contamination of the groundwater. This is the biggest benefit of the neem coated urea. That is why the government has made it mandatory that any urea that is to be used in agriculture, whether it is domestically produced or it is imported, it has to be coated with neem oil.